Hey guys, I think you're really going to enjoy today's podcast episode. I have a very special guest named Amy who is coming to speak with you. And Amy and I are in a mastermind together. We did some peer coaching of each other and just got to learn more about each other. And the more that she shared her story and what she coaches people on, and I got to see firsthand her approach, then I very quickly invited her to come on the show. Amy's expertise is helping women lose weight, especially with emotional eating and some of the struggles that we have with food. And this can be a very sensitive topic. It's something that several of my clients struggle with. And she just has a really great way of articulating why we emotionally eat, some things that we can do to help us, and do things in a way that's sustainable and doesn't feel hustly and strict and really hard. I invited her to come on the show. If you're interested in working with Amy one on one as a coach or being part of her group program, I highly recommend that you reach out to her. You are going to absolutely love her. So, let me introduce you to Amy. Amy is the founder of the Lose It Forever Weight Loss, which is a group coaching program. She's a weight loss coach for women who are convinced it's too late to change. Does that sound familiar? She helps you lose all your weight for the last time in a sustainable, doable process. After struggling with being overweight her whole life, she came to appreciate life coaching when she lost 80 pounds over the age of 54 with the help of a life coach. She's been at her goal weight since 2020 and became certified in 2022 through the Life Coach School. And she's been in business ever since. She lives just outside of Philadelphia, PA, in a rural community with her husband. They have a grown son who's 26, who's an accountant who also lives in Philadelphia. And in January of 2024, her mother in law moved into their in law suite with her sweet little dog, Mirandy. You can find Amy at all of the links that I put in the show notes here. You can also find her, Amy Scott Life Coaching online, and she has a free gift for you. All right, let's dive in. Amy, welcome to the Brave Widow Show, and thank you for being willing to come on and share your story and your wisdom with us today.
Thanks, Emily. And yes, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for this opportunity. Yep, I'm Amy Scott. I'm the founder of the Lose It Forever Weight Loss Program. It's a group coaching program, and I love helping women who are convinced that it's too late for them to change. That was my story. I was overweight my entire life. And with the help of a life coach, I was able to lose 80 pounds after the age of 55 and keep it off for the past it's over 5 years now. I just had my anniversary of being at my goal weight. So this had never happened to me before. So one of the things that I do is I have this group coaching program. I also coach one-on-one clients as well. And if you want, I'm happy to share a little bit about my story of how it all began, which is like I said, was struggled with my weight my entire life. I had my sort of come to Jesus moment was when I was actually in my 30s. So before that, I knew I was heavy. I struggled with it. I just thought it was not something that happened. But my husband, God bless him, loved me at every size. So it never impeded my life, my weight, my current weight. So I didn't really do anything about it. I was not a except for maybe the occasional, and you're in high school and you do the weight loss medication, or once in a while I might have peeked into Weight Watchers, but I didn't really do anything serious about it until I was in my early 30s. We were on a skiing trip in the Alps, in the French Alps. We were with another couple, and we went to go rent some ski boots, and my legs were too huge to fit into all those nice French ladies. Must not have big legs, and so I couldn't rent any ski boots. So I ended up having to go back to the chalet, like the walk of shame, and spend the day by myself while everyone else did this amazing thing, which is was on a bucket list of mine. I do love to ski. And that's when I realized, oh, if I don't do something about this, my life is going to pass me by. I'm too young for my life to start passing me by this early. So that's when I got really serious. I did join Weight Watchers and I did lose 60 pounds with Weight Watchers initially. However, Then I got pregnant. We have one son. He's 26 now, and I gained the weight back. So it wasn't permanent.
Mm.
And I didn't really love the process. So then for many years, I was on that Weight Watcher roller coaster, the up and down, and oh, I'll try Weight Watchers again, and nothing stuck until I reached my 50s and hired my first weight loss coach. And one of the things I learned was that the weight had very little to do with my age, menopause. It had very little to do with my family history. We have a history of obesity in my family. It had very little to do with Hashimoto's. I have Hashimoto's thyroid disease, and I thought that was my reason for being overweight. But really, I was just eating when I wasn't hungry. I was eating when I wasn't physically hungry and eating for emotional reasons. So that's one of the things I want to talk about today is that basically, when you're eating for anything other than hunger, it is an emotional eat. And that's why I spent all those years being overweight. Once you learn to handle the emotions, and that's what I help my clients with, is figuring that piece out so that they can lose all their weight and keep it off forever. That's my
Yes.
little background. Yeah,
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think
sure.
it's really important for people to hopefully they heard you said in the beginning, like helping women who feel like it's too late. Because it's so easy for us to have an excuse like, oh, I'm over 40, I'm over 50, I'm premenopausal, menopausal, I've never had good genes, my whole family is this way. It's so easy to just tell ourselves a story. And for people in grief, especially, eating tends to swing from either severely undereating to severely overeating or feeling like people turn to that for a distraction or for an emotional reaction. And so I have several clients that are struggling or trying to work through this right now. So I thought it was like perfect timing after we met to have you maybe share some insights on why we turn to food. Like, why is that? Like, it's almost an emotional pacifier, is how I think about it, but why we do that and what are some things we can do to overcome it?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Why do we? And I would even go one further, and which is why does it make sense that we do that? So sometimes when we ask, like, why am I doing this? I keep doing the same thing over and over again. What is wrong with me? And that question just isn't the best question because the answer is gonna be something like, because you're broken, because you're in grief, because something's wrong with you as opposed to why would it make sense that I turn to food right now? And really exploring that. So that's what I do with my clients is we explore like underlying cause. So the cause versus the symptom. And so usually there's a cause, meaning there's an emotion, a strong emotion that they are trying to avoid thinking about or they're trying to resist. And they do get relief because it does you food can give you an instant hit of relief at first until then the shame and the judgment and the loathing come in. So what makes my program a little bit different is I help my clients to first of all take all that judgment away and just start looking at their food that they're eating. One of the things that I teach is with my sustainability weight loss system is to just start looking at the food without the judgment. If you can just eat,
Mm.
like notice what you're eating, just notice it. That's all you need to do is just notice it and eat and plan food that you like that you actually enjoy versus super restrictive and then the rubber band snaps back and then you're like eat everything. So
Yeah.
that's where the up and down swings come in. But there's no good or bad food. I teach that there's no good or bad food. All food is on the table, but just noticing what you're eating and then planning from there, not planning what you think you should eat, not planning what your friend is doing, just what feels really good in your body and planning from that place. One of the things I offer for my clients is a my daily planning blueprint, which is available for any of your clients, your audience. I'm going to put that in the link for the show notes. That there's this worksheet that I use for that, where it's a basically like a guided journaling worksheet, but it's like part planner, part guided journaling that will help you get to like the reason behind what it is, what's going on. But from there, then we talk about the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. A lot of people think that emotions are like You picture Bridget Jones with a tub of ice cream, like she got broken up with yet again or whatever. And that may be a thing, but loneliness is an emotion, and boredom is an emotion. And of course, grief, that's a big emotion. I'm obviously, and that like it might ease that food urge temporarily until the self judgment and loathing comes up. And then we that's the real problem. That's actually the problem. The overeat itself, I always, and I'll or circle back to this again, but every overeat is an opportunity to figure out what's going on underneath the surface. That's your
Mm.
chance to see. There's always something, there's always a reason that we get a payoff for eating. That's one of the things that we spend quite a bit of time on is really digging into what could be the reason. And the the slip ups aren't the problem. Learning how to talk to yourself after you slip up, that's everything. Because losing weight while you're beating yourself up down the scale is not going to be sustainable. So that's where I teach my clients to gain their own self-confidence in their way of going down the scale. That if they can, most women think that self-confidence comes after the weight loss. The truth is, it's the opposite, that self-confidence actually is developed first. And it starts with not judging yourself and beating yourself up when you slip up, that kind of thing, keeping promises to yourself, just learning, becoming the person who you want to be. And I teach that with the self confidence cure. I have a process that I teach with my clients that helps them to suss out and build that self confidence before they lose their weight. The other piece that we do spend a little bit of time on is movement. One of the things that's one of the first things I started with was just I needed an easy win. I needed a simple win. And a lot of us as women, especially at my age, I was like, I think I should be further along than I am now. At this point, I should know better or something. But I was very out of shape. I would be winded at the top of the steps by the time I got to the top of the steps. And so I thought, well, can I just walk for 15 minutes? And that's how it all started. So that's what I taught when I talk about the doable movement method. I encourage my clients to start off real small and just keep things very attainable. And then next thing you know, here I am 5 years later. I just helped I work out every day, basically. I love working out. I've developed a better relationship with exercise. And that's the actual goal, not to become an athlete or to be super sonically strong or whatever, but just to create that better relationship with myself and better relationship with movement and exercise. And then lastly, one of the things that we talk about is when the urge comes. So when that deep urge comes for where you feel like I just like nothing's going to cut it. In fact, I just got off the call with a client who had this very thing happen, and several things have came up as a result of it. One was she's like, I just need to think positively. I just need to move beyond it. Okay, this happened. Let's go on. My belief with the manageable urge method is actually to take a look at it. Okay, why did you have this urge and where could it have been coming from instead of running away from it or just like moving on and saying, what's happened? Oh, but really taking a minute and going, all right, what was it? There must have been a payoff. Why did I think that ice cream was going to be helpful? Why did it make sense? And then you take a look at that. And so with that, I help clients before an urge, during an urge, how to manage what I give them real specific ideas of what to do, and then what to do, how to show up for yourself after you give into an urge, which is everything. Because we're not perfect. We're humans. We're going to mess up. It's going to happen. So the phrase that I just love is that every overeat is an opportunity because that's your chance. That's how you learn. And you're either losing or you're learning. So basically, if you're not losing, you're learning. If you're not losing, then your chances are you are losing your weight. And then, but really that opportunity to learn what's going on is everything. So that's how I set my process up.
Oh, you said so much good stuff in there, and I just want to unpack it a little bit.
Sure.
I think about myself, and even I know a couple of my clients where it's that rubber band effect where you're talking about, okay, it's a Monday, I'm going all in. It's going to be protein and salads and no carbs and just all these things, and I have to be strict. And then when I want to eat something sweet or whatever that is, then it's, oh, I can't even stay consistent. And I don't have enough strong willpower. And you just want to give up. And
Yeah.
I think about walking. What I love about your approach is that it's very understanding and good for remedial people like me. That it's not like you're walking into a gym with the gym bros, talking to a ripped physical trainer who's giving you all these supplements and telling you how you gotta change up your diet and stop this and stop that. And it just feels like super intimidating. It's let's meet people where they are and just help them take the next step for them.
Totally. Yeah. And when you notice that, so again, it's the that thinking feeling that you need to be so strict, but just if you can accept the fact that it's not the food, it's how you're beating yourself up, that's the actual issue, then you and planning the food that you will actually eat, but just eating it with control makes all the difference in the world. Just noticing and saying, "Oh, look, I can eat ice cream, but maybe and enjoy it, or whatever the sweet might be." When you take out the urge, when you take it away and maybe plan it for a different day, all of a sudden it doesn't become so sexy. It's not a big deal. Yes, I can have ice cream. I'm going to have it tomorrow. It's just, yeah, that kind of thing helps. It separates out that we have a lot of emotion attached to food, I think, or we think that the food is going to, sometimes we eat because we're avoiding an emotion. Sometimes we're trying to create an emotion. We're trying to create connection or trying to create closeness with
Mhm.
another person. And it's not the food that does it. It's actually our relationships, our vulnerability, maybe, or our conversation. But when we put food in that category, it's just too much heavy lifting. That's not food's job. It's never food's job to soothe us, to comfort us, to bring excitement to someone who's bored. That's not, it's just, it's too much heavy lifting for food. That's not what its purpose is.
Yeah, I love that. And I think about in particular one of my clients who she's been a widow for a couple and she also is a recent empty nester. And so she finds herself incredibly lonely and out of a routine because now she can eat dinner whenever she wants and she doesn't have that other person there eating dinner with her. And, I'll eat three, I don't know, they're ice cream cones or sandwiches or something, like three a day. And I just feel like if that other person was here and we were having dinner together, I wouldn't need that or I wouldn't want it really. But it's like I can't help myself. And I think we often don't think about loneliness as being a reason why we would reach for food or a way of soothing ourselves or filling that void, but it's pretty common, I would guess.
Absolutely. And that whole I can't help myself or the eating it and that's not quite doing it. So then you have another one and that's not quite doing it either. So the truth is you might get it like that initial payoff, but really what else is going on there? What else could you do? What else could be true if this isn't really hitting the mark for you? Then maybe there is something else to look at and just taking ownership of that you actually can help it. It is your hand that is putting the food in your mouth. So this is what my coach used to say. It's not your Hashimoto's that's the problem. It's your hand, your mouth. And I was like, oh, it's my responsibility. Oh, okay, okay, I got you. So that was what I needed to hear. So hopefully that makes sense. That resonates with someone. Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes that's how we have to be told for it to sink
sometimes.
in. Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, agree, agree. And just allowing that there are times where you think this can't help it. That thought is super an interesting one because that makes you feel so powerless versus what, okay, maybe that feels that way, but is that really true? And so there was a time when I remember thinking that, and as I was losing my weight, when that particular thought would come up, I remember going, oh, we don't do this anymore. We don't think that thought anymore. That's not serving us. That's not really a helpful or useful thought. What could I think instead? And so that one in particular, there were several like that. I didn't need any deep dive into what was my emotional state at the time. It was like, no, that's actually not true. And what is true? And sometimes just going, nope, we're not going to allow that. I am the kind of person who doesn't think that anymore. I'm the kind of person who takes responsibility for the food, the hand that goes to my mouth. That's my job to take care of that. And that was a big shift for me. That took a little time, but it was a big shift. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that for sure. And I loved your suggestion of planning it out. So if it is something that you want or something that you feel like you're craving, to delay it or to schedule it for another time. Because I think if we have our plan, we're less likely to write down, oh, on Friday, I want to eat 3 ice creams.
Or you
We
can.
might
And
put
here's the
one.
thing. You can write that down. And once you see it in writing, you're probably going, that's not going to help me reach my goals. And I did used to do that. So I wrote down all my food that I was actually already eating. And then little by little, I didn't need 3 ice creams. And that's true. Like this is how it started for me. I did actually start with three, and then it was two, and then it was one. And it's all good. It's all okay. It's just when you're eating more than your body needs, or you're eating for an emotional reason. That as you can put down as much as you want. You can plan as much as you want and eat it. Go ahead and eat it as long as you're physically hungry. That's the baseline. The bar to entry is to be physically hungry for it. So yeah, it was a good example. So, yeah.
Yeah. So do people ever say they have a hard time knowing when they're actually hungry, or maybe they've numbed it so much that they say, I never feel hungry.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. Yes, that was me for a very long time with Weight Watchers. I don't know if y'all have been on Weight Watchers. They do have this point system, and you get so many points for a day. And once you use your allotment of points up, then, and I thought it was somebody else's job to tell me how much was good for me to eat. And so there would be some days when I would be starving on the 20 for my 24 points or whatever it was. And other days that I would be like, oh, I'm not really hungry, but hey, I'm definitely going to eat my points worth. And so I lost trust with my body to know what hunger was and what satiation felt like. So on the hunger side, first of all, one of the things I learned, and this was another piece for me that took a little time to unwind, which is being a little bit hungry is not an emergency. I have plenty of extra fat on my body, which is the purpose of having extra fat stores, is to sustain me. So a little bit of hunger doesn't mean you're going to die. I used to think that a little bit of hunger meant that I would be starving or messing up with my metabolism or something like that. Once I got comfortable being just a little bit hungry, that changed everything. And just learning that I could, and I even pushed it a little bit at times, but not waiting till you're overly hungry is part of what I teach. So not getting ravenously hungry, eating when you're just a little bit hungry, and then learning so that's one of the things that we unpack during our talks is what are some of your satiation signals? So hunger seems pretty simple. Most people get what hunger is. Satiation can be a little bit different. It could be a little bit different for different people. And I would say I'm still struggling with it. Like it's a work in progress. It's one of those things. I'll give you a little tip. One of the ones that resonated with me, it took me a little while to find it, which is I'll have a sigh. So you're eating and you'll go, okay. That's how you know you might be done. And that's when you might be looking at your plate going, oh, there's still food on my plate, but you might actually be done. So that's a whole process in itself that I teach my clients of how to get your head around that. Another thing that I look for is if I'm looking for the best bites of something, then chances are I might be getting ready to be done eating.
Mm.
Or if you're on the hunger side, if you can't concentrate on a task that you're doing because you're so hungry, chances are you really are physically hungry. On the conversely, on the satiation side, if you are once you've been eating and then your mind starts to wander, and your food's not as interesting anymore, that's also a sign that you might be done. So these are just some. I would say it can vary from person to person. And so one of the things we talk about, we have a Facebook group in the private program, a private Facebook group in my program. And so we share what are some of your signals? What is it for you? Because some people are like, I don't know what you're talking about with this guy. And, it might be a little slightly different from person to person, but we help each other to dial in with that. So that's how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah, those are some great tips. And I know it takes a while when we're full for that signal to get to our brain of, oh, I'm full. And so we can easily go from I'm hungry to, ugh, I ate too much. But I love those tips and
Yeah.
ideas for ways that we can catch ourselves and go, do I really need to eat this? Even though I was raised not to waste any food on my plate.
That's
'Cause
another one. We talk about that a lot. The cost of eating everything on your plate, which is when you're at a restaurant, you don't want to waste the money or you don't want to waste the food at your house. But the real cost is what's it costing you? And the cost in the beat down, the cost in being overweight, the cost of the financial cost of wasting money on a scale. There is one other little tip I would love to share with you, and that is the timer trick. So when you're at that sigh, when you hit the sigh and you're like, all right, I'm done, but you've got this plate full of food. It tastes so good. Your stomach is, I'm not done. What do you mean? Or your brain's, I'm not done, but your stomach is because it takes that 20 minutes. That was a good point. That's when I do it. I set a timer. I either set it on my watch or I'll set it on my phone for just 3 minutes and just give myself like an interruption. And 9 times out of 10, and I tell myself, it's okay. You can eat it if you're physically if you are still hungry, go ahead and finish it up. 9 times out of 10, I'm not. No, 99 times out of 100, I'm not. Like that's it. That's all it takes is that little bit of time for your brain to register. Oh, we're good. You're actually okay. And that's how you can help stop overeating so much.
Yeah, that is really good. Having that interruption and just taking a pause and being like, I can eat
Yeah.
it, just not, just gonna
Yeah.
wait a minute.
And
So
it helps you feel safe because that doesn't feel great when you have a plate full of food and you're like, but I sighed. Oh, geez. Dang it. I don't want to stop.
I'll just, can I just hold it in my mouth?
Yeah.
It's so tasty. Yeah.
Yep.
What about if someone needs help meal planning, or let's say that now they're cooking for one person, which is very different than when they're cooking for 4 or 5 people? Are there things that you help people with meal planning too?
I don't spend a lot of time with that, quite honestly, but I will just say this, especially for women, one of the things we do talk about, if you've been feeding your family, I'm an empty nester myself. If you've been feeding your family all this time, or you're now just eating for one, is really dialing into what is it that I want? What do I love? And really just asking yourself that question. A lot of women do not know the answer to that question. We don't spend enough time spending on focused on that. I would just encourage you to eat what you love. And if it's McDonald's, fine, eat it, but eat it with control. If it is your favorite fast food, whatever it may be, or if you want to try to experiment with cooking, try that and see if you enjoy cooking in the kitchen. I personally don't. I am not a cook. I'm not a chef. I did have a little cooking show for a period of time, but really when it comes to, I will say one of the things that I do talk about, not so much what to eat or food, but is food prep. So one of the things that I do, especially if you're busy and you're working, and if you're like me and don't want to spend hours and hours in the kitchen, I love to plan my food out like in advance. So I'll prep a bunch of things ahead of time, like on a Sunday. I'll make a bunch of salads ahead of time so I can just go in the fridge. Because when you're hungry, the last thing you want to do is start washing, at least for me, is to start washing lettuce and cutting up vegetables. I would much rather just swing by McDonald's or swing by Chick-fil-A and grab something easy. So I do teach my clients that there is a process, there is a really easy way to food prep, and everybody has different tastes. But the more you can prep ahead of time, the more you're going to serve yourself throughout the week. I always say my Sunday girl has my Wednesday girl's back. Like once the week starts and at the end of the day, and you have a very little bandwidth, if it takes more than 5 minutes, I'm not doing it. I'm going to have an ice cream or something. So if it's something that I have to heat in the microwave, it's got to be like 5 minutes, and then I can go get to town and go eat it. That's how I process with for my clients. But we don't specifically, because everybody gets to create your own protocol. For some of my clients, they might have dietary restrictions, they might be on a diabetic, they need to do something special. That's up to them to figure that out. Googling can take you so very far. Some of my clients are on a low inflammation diet, anti-inflammatory diet. Again, they can figure that out. The trick is getting your head around, this will hurt me in my body. And do I want to continue to do this? It's okay if you want to eat it, that's fine, and take the hit. That's up to you. But if you want to try to like change your food, and it doesn't maybe have to be all or nothing. That's another thing I teach a lot about. That rubber band extremism, that is a thing of the past. Like just it's not useful. So try to see, can you do something that's in the middle? Maybe add in a little protein here and there. Maybe add in a little fiber and some healthy fat. For sure, healthy fat is something we do talk about, and some vegetables and things like that to like round things out. Can you swap out your French fries for a salad here and there as you're going down the scale? Yeah, as far as that goes, I have lots of ideas, but yes. So I guess the answer is, I guess I do help with that. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
now that I think about it.
Just not in the traditional sense
That's the
of how we
traditional
think
sense.
about it.
I
Yeah.
don't give anybody a meal plan. Nobody's coming away with a meal plan for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to tell them what to eat for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Who would you say is like your ideal client? Who is the person that, does really well in your program and that typically ends up reaching out to you?
Yeah. So anyone, so I don't have a hard and fast rule of an age, but women, only women who have basically been struggling. I love to help women who either, there's three different categories. One who's been struggling their whole life, like I have. Another type of woman is someone who didn't ever have a problem with weight until they had children. And then a third level that I've noticed has been coming up lately is someone that has been thin their whole life and then menopause hits and they're like, what the heck? What's going on with my body? So those are the three categories of people that I'm absolutely love to help. But anyone who would love to lose some weight, lose it sustainably and not feel like it's a just painful process. I love my process. It's super easy. It's actually enjoyable to lose your weight and keep it off forever. So yeah, that's what I'd love to help.
Amazing. Share, I'll put everything in the show notes, but if you'll share again where people can find you and the best way to reach out to you, that would be great.
Sure, absolutely. So I am on Instagram and Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel. Some of those, I have some of these things called Food Prep Lives over there, and some of my longer form trainings are all on my YouTube channel, Amy Scott Life Coaching. I'm under Amy Scott on Facebook and Amy Scott Weight Loss Coach on Instagram. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well. And then, like I said, I'm going to pop in my freebie, which is the daily planning blueprint, which is something I use every day for my weight loss. And your clients are certainly welcome to sign up for that and get the help they need right away. You can get started right away planning your food. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. You shared a lot of really good things that I know people could just implement from listening, but I also encourage them. Like I attended one of Amy's coaching sessions and she really has a beautiful way of elevating you and helping you in a short amount of time without making you feel like crap. So thank you, Amy. You have just a very graceful way of helping people.
Thank you so much. This has been my pleasure. I love being here. This is awesome.
The Brave Widow Academy is open now, and it's where I help widows just like you move from surviving to living with a proven path, coaching, and a community of other widows who get it. If you're ready to take the next step, go to bravewidow.com/academy to join us. I'll see you on the inside.